My philosophy is just encourage curiosity. I can teach something about, say, blogging or about politics, but it really only connects when you get that idea and connect it to a student. And so that's why I ask just these series of questions, well, what is it interesting to you? What does San Francisco mean to you? I've always felt that a really interesting question is worth so much more than a really interesting answer. I really believe that. Being a teacher, you're constantly surrounded by young people. And I think being surrounded by young people, it gives a certain energy to my outlook on life, All of us have a certain portion of being jaded or being sad about the world, but I think students still have this vitality and a thirst for knowledge that a lot of adults don't have. I love teaching all students, but college students I think are the best because they have enough knowledge to do like some damage in the world, and they're not jaded enough like a lot of adults are. My father was a professor of physics, and so I think sometimes he'd bring me to the university at Cal Poly University, and I think I always dug it. I always this is kind of a cool life. I always felt that the university was full of learning and excitement. Well, I'm in media studies, and it's a really interesting combination of what we like to say is that we analyze media, but we also make media. So it's not just analyzing Fox News and saying what's wrong with it, and it's not also just blogging or just making videos like this. It's trying to bring the two together. It seems that we're living in this historical moment where technologies like this camera, technologies of distribution like the internet or YouTube or blogging are all making it possible for us to have these little kind of mini printing presses. Before we had to either rent out a satellite or rent out a printing press to get our ideas out there. Now we can do it all on our own. And so what I'm trying to teach is not only how to be reflective about your own life and about what's important to you, but how to express that using digital media, using video, using blogging, using photography, using hyperlinks. But then the last thing is, how do you put those ideas and start connecting to other people? Put your own ideas and your own observations into conversations with other people. And I think that's why I'm really excited about blogs, because now we have this platform to express ourselves and a platform to connect to other people and make some really interesting conversations. I love it here, and I've traveled all my life, but I feel like I've traveled enough to know that when I found a spot that's really comfortable to want to stay there and kind of bring in roots. It's this beautiful city. It's a city full of imagination. People can, if they have a really good idea, they just do it. Ideas of technology, people kind of feel this pioneering spirit where they're up to experimenting and to trying things new, and I love that. What's difficult is getting a whole bunch of people together, a whole bunch of smart and creative people, and to try to create something bigger than individuals, trying to build a movement. And maybe that could happen in San Francisco. It certainly has in the past. One of my favorite things about USF is also one of my favorite things about San Francisco. Instead of being wedded to tradition and saying, this is the way things have always happened, this is the way we're going to do things, the University of San Francisco, if they hear a good idea, they say, let's try it. Let's try it. What we're doing right now is sitting in the middle of an organic garden on campus, and this garden came about from kind of the vision of two professors, Melinda Stone and Seth Wachtel, and they said, wouldn't it be amazing to have an organic garden on campus? And I'm sure it wasn't as easy as that. I'm sure it didn't happen in 2 minutes, but the University of San Francisco, I think, is flexible enough to say, that's a good idea, let's try it. We're not cemented into tradition. We don't have these hundreds of years of tradition, and I think that gives a flexibility and kind of an ability to change and move according to what's needed at the time. And I love that. I love that. It's kind of like improvisational academia. Well, I don't even know what the goal of most universities are, right? I don't really, it's usually written in Latin, and I don't understand it. But the goal of the mission of USF, educating minds and hearts to change the world, I think is invaluable. At the core of the university, the goal is to try to make the world a better place. And we can kind of laugh because it's a lofty goal, like, you know, good luck, these are tough times. But at the same time, it feels that that's the way that university should be. Let's try to make the world a better place. One of the projects I'm working on now, I'm really excited about. I'm interested in this term that we're calling green media. Green media is the combination of two movements. First, the organic movement, all these efforts towards sustainability, towards urban gardening, towards growing your own food, food independence, combined with this whole new generation of media makers. I'm really interested in what happens when you have efforts towards green and organics and sustainabilities. What happens when you combine those efforts to media making? And we're starting to call this kind of green media. I think it'd be really interesting to make a series of videos on, you come into the garden here, you grab some food, you go home and you learn how to cook the food, all right? Yeah, and so it's not like, what's for dinner? I don't know, let's go down to 7-Eleven and, you know, get some Cheetos. It's more like, wow, what's in season? What's regional, seasonal food? Let's grab it and let's learn how to make some food out of that. But most importantly, or equally importantly, how do you document that process so that other people can learn how to garden, other people can learn how to farm, other people can learn how to cook? And so it's not either or, it's not like farming or video making, it's both. You know, some of those projects you engage in, you say, wow, this will interest me for a week. This is the kind of project that feels like a decade or 2 or 3 decades we'll be working on. And it's really exciting for that reason.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's really cool.
Yeah. What do you think?
I think it sounds good, yeah. Do you have anything else you wanted to talk about?
I think that's about it.